work together through mainly through our fashion. So Carly's a jewellery designer, and I think I just found you on Instagram.
Yes.
I think I just discovered her posting photos of beautiful earrings.
Yes, and you sent me a message.
And bought one.
Yeah, I bought one straight up. I've just found you, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then from there, that kind of launched me into, well, prior to that I was already doing deconstructed fashion shows and looking for different local artists who could possibly showcase at those and get their name on the board and use that as a platform or a showcase, you know, for their art. So Carly came on board, I think, for my second fashion show.
Yes, this one.
And at Coast. Yeah, so we had like jewellery, we had women who just had their own little fashion labels in town as well, and they use that as a great platform. So they're real, like a deconstructed kind of vibey event. It's not a really polished, strict, you'll sit in rows and you'll have to mind your P's and Q's. It's a real immersive, very interactive event. So at the second show, Carly had stall and sold stock, which I believe was a winner.
It was, absolutely. It was an amazing opportunity to get to know a lot of local people as well, a lot of like the designers as well as work with Leah and just, I guess, supporting the local fashion industry too. And it was incredible for my brand in the way that a lot of people were like, oh, I didn't even know you existed. And so for my following on social media and everything, it just blew up after that. And every release I've had since then, there's been a lot of local love on that, which has been absolutely incredible. So just that one, the first time working with Leah was phenomenal for me.
Yeah,
cool. Getting me out there, just not just locally, but then the local people would then say, hey, I bought these from Carly, and just sort of the flow-on effect has been amazing. So.
And I think the other thing, like some of the other designers at that show relished in the fact that they then had a plethora of models that they could use for photo shoots and for different media platforms that they were trying to use. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we had that similar designer as well, and she actually picked up about 3 or 4 models at that that she then used for shoots. So hopefully that's a flow-on effect for the models.
Exactly, and being able to use the photographs as well from local photographers, just in ad campaigns and things like that for future collections has been incredible as well. So. So that's kind of how we triggered that little friendship. But it's grown from there, because then I see her post something about another artist or someone, I'm like, oh, cool, I've never found that person before. Yeah. Click into their bio, then connect with that person. Exactly. It's just small business promoting small business. I'm more promoting sort of the small creative businesses because that's my general interest. I've got a lot of friends that have sort of small side gigs and things like that. So when I see them posting something new on Instagram, like a new collection or even a sale or something like that, I'm always quick to share it, because you just never know who you might reach through it and how far that reach actually gets. Being from New Zealand, I've got a bit of a network over there as well. So I've actually been able to connect some of my creative friends in New Zealand to some of my creative friends here, which has been really cool, because especially in weird times like this, when we do essentially live in a virtual world, being able to have that connection across countries as well has been really cool, because you know the creative world is a little bit different, even though New Zealand and Australia essentially are the same. A lot of people might disagree, but creatively, I guess we are brought up slightly differently, so it's nice to be able to see things across that way as well.
Yeah, I've even seen things that you've posted through clients that you've had who I've never heard of, and I'm like, oh wow, I've never heard of that business. You know, that's great. And then click into their link or into their bio, and then I've found a new connection just there. I actually find social media is probably the most powerful in that regard.
I've got clients that we work for that I met when Instagram first started.
Oh, really?
So
wow.
We met in a social way through blogs and reading and sharing and things, and now we work together. So it has real long-lasting relationships throughout.
We met on Instagram too.
Really? And then you got employed?
Yeah.
That's great. Oh wow.
Yeah, I think you'd put something out looking for a freelance, freelance digital
marketer or
Marketer.
content creator or something
Yeah.
like that.
And so I sort of touched base that way, and a few people I've worked for locally that could sort of vouch for me, and then it went from there.
But you've done that previously, like you were in that field,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so good.
No, it was really good. And it was good to find someone that I can bounce off, because
Yeah.
essentially I had all freelancers working for me, but they were very transient, and to get Steph, who's just willing to stay on for the ride, and eventually, because she worked for a little while, and then
Yeah, I sort of did it on the side for a long time, juggling like full-time work,
Yeah.
and trying to build up something else, and then eventually took
just
the
jumped.
plunge.
Yeah, I was walking along the beach on holidays at Tangalooma, and Steph's like, I've had enough, I'm going to jump. And I'm like, okay, would you like a job? Because I can't say no, like, anything you want. Because to me, for what we do, having a team or, more than just me is really important, and writing off Steph's strengths, my weaknesses, or vice versa, it's really important to have that for clients, and just to be able to bounce those ideas around. But it feels more like a social catch-up quite often when we're working. Like we'll do breakfast together, mind the COVID space that we had to have, but catching back up and just touching base with whatever's going on in our lives, whatever little plans we've got going on, or just bouncing an idea off, because Steph and her partner own another business, so that's a big topic, because I like to hear about how that's all going, and I do work for them as well, so we just keep it all in the in the fold.
So good.
I think when you work, if you're a freelancer or a creative and you work from home as well, you can be super isolated if you don't have those connections.
Yes.
Like someone if you're working in an office or a team, you can easily have someone there to bounce off.
But if you can talk to someone else about it,
Yeah.
especially intimately know you, if you I'm a sensitive soul and I'll take things to heart, and Steph's a little the same, but we're good at sharing that whole this has happened and I feel terrible about this, or it actually really helps to have somebody that knows you that well, to be able to and also understands how you work, to bounce you on through and keep on going. I don't know where I would have been through some of the COVID stuff without Steph.
It's so good.
The virtual creative world has been an absolute godsend through all of this, just because it's almost like a little escape, and the friendships that you build through that, it's like, I can't see you in person, but I've never actually met you in person.
Yeah,
so it's no different. It's almost like it was a sense of normalcy through all of this, because you don't know a lot of the creative friends that you have via social media anyway, so it's like, well, I'm still talking to you like normal, so it's not weird that I can't actually see
It
you.
actually happened at the perfect time in the world's life.
Yes.
It was we weren't that detached. We still, it may have felt like our noses had been cut off, but really it was quite okay. We could
it could have been worse 15 to 20 years ago if this had happened, because we really would have been isolated, but we can still have our little creative outlets and still sort of put those out into the world and get the response back, and we're not completely isolated or cut off from
and I think
everyone.
our audiences were more open to whatever came at them during that time. So it was sort of not that I think I pulled back a little bit from socials. I was a little bit. I just want to hide under my blanket.
I had times like that as well.
So
There were a
it
couple
was
of
just
times.
See, I actually do the opposite thing of that, because normally I've got makeup clients coming in, and that's regularly. And when that stopped, I then thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to do more online presence. So my online presence became more. So then I started doing lives. I'd never done a Facebook Live, 20 years too late. But I thought, now's the time to crack it up. So I started doing those, and I really enjoyed them. They were actually a lot of fun. But I realised that, you very quickly can shift your momentum, from I've never done that to now I can, and I will.
Yeah. It was a time of learning, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But I found that live interaction was really great for the fashion side of it because lots of women not necessarily would message me in the live, but they would message me after with the question that they weren't obviously overly confident asking during the live, which was fine. But yeah, I found that kind of brought on a whole plethora of new clients as well who just wanted to chat virtually about stuff and you know, talk about their style or their colouring or whatever question they had. But yeah, I did a bit of a opposite end to that. Which was fun.
I think our creativity is very commercial, so and we're creating for clients. When, for me personally, when we didn't lose clients but they couldn't afford us anymore, I just felt like my soul had just been ripped out because in previous times in my life my creativity was all mine, but coming into a business where you're selling it, you're giving everything to your people, and I actually had zero creativity prior. Like during the times when I was working so much, I was just giving everything I had to them. Then they're gone and I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, who am I? What? But then that spurred eventually, you know, over a bit of a dip in mood, spurred, well, I just have to get back to creating myself. I have to do more for me, and I need to always make sure in the future that I allow myself that time to create just for me and not give everything I have to clients, because whilst they appreciate it, could just disappear.
That's right.
If I create for me, it's more.
It's the self-love side of creating. I'm the same. I create stuff for myself all the time because that's how I started. That's why I started. I didn't start ever with intent to go into business at all. It was just like art has always been an outlet for me. As I've gotten older, I've become a little bit more introverted. So I guess I take all of that sort of passion and I put it, you know, into the artwork side of things. So yeah, I think looking after yourself in that respect, especially when you're feeling a little bit isolated, can be a huge burden lift upon yourself.
We were talking about that in the car, hey? Like how, I don't know about you guys, but throughout my life I've found the creative surge come out in different ways through my evolutionary path, you know, like when I was younger it came out through playing piano and that was the way to get it out. And then at some point that kind of faded, and then like fashion came in at a young age and then that faded, and then makeup came, you know, come in, and it's been a really cool evolutionary process. But you're saying you have like a similar thing, hey, like you feel a surge of that creation.
And you just pour everything into it, like everything you've got. Like you say, whether it's for a client or for yourself, you know, every bit of you goes into that, and I think it's for the pure love of it sometimes. And like, I mean, for me during COVID, I guess I didn't really have that everything sort of drop off like you did, and I can imagine how it would be soul crushing. Like that would devastate me if something like that happened. Like all my love, something that I love doing every day, if all of a sudden the platform or whatever for that sort of was gone, everything will be okay. We'll come through this to all of a sudden when they started closing things down. It's sort of, I mean, for me when they took the gym away, I was like, but you know, like the reality of that was just like, okay. And then you think of how many lives that's affected, and then you just sort of start thinking about everybody and like, oh my God, like this is huge. Like the impact this is going to have is going to be felt for such a long time across all industries in one way or another. And that I think was scary, and I think that's when a lot of people sort of started reaching out online and making a lot more connections, because it's that fight or flight kind of thing. And I guess a lot of collaborations started to happen that I noticed, virtual collaborations. And I think the cool thing from that is we will start to see that more in years to come. So local people and not so local people, like you may have international collaborations that we're going to see. I've seen it in music, you know, in art, and across all industries. And I think the friendships and things that will be built from that's exciting. And that's something I'm looking forward to seeing coming out of all this, and trying to sort of stay positive about it all. Because while it didn't affect me directly, I saw the impacts it was having on other industries, but I'm choosing to remain positive now that it's going to pick up and be stronger later.
Yeah, I think collaborations are possibly the most powerful tool for creatives, because
100%.
you never know through that person where that is going to lead as well. You know,
And
like
their connections that they have as
yeah,
well.
yeah, true. Like there's this one girl who I've got lined up to be like a roving entertainer at my next fashion show.
Yes, yeah.
And initially I wasn't quite sure how to bring her into it, but I just knew that she had to be in it because she's just unbelievable. And then through then meeting another artist, we then put that collaboration together, and she'll perform in the most amazing way. But it was through about 3 different kind of artists that we combined this collaboration for this one performer to be able to perform. I don't want to kind of give too much away because she's going to be spectacular. But yeah, and she's just a local gal who does a bit of theatre, and she's got the right vibe. But I think collaboration for me has just been such a powerful tool.
Yes.
You know, and like you kind of brushed on before, you know, you might have a client who's bought earrings and you actually meet them face to face for the first time. You never know, like that person 5 years down the road might have something that you can collaborate
You and I,
with.
that's pretty much our situation.
Exactly.
Is it was purely online meeting. First you bought earrings and
Yeah.
I knew that you were into fashion, and then it's kind of like, well, hang on, accessories, fashion, that's the same industry.
Yeah.
How can we make this work for each other? And we just kind of have, and it's
Yeah.
fun too. Like
Yeah.
I think it's so much fun being able to work together like that, because it doesn't feel like it's work. It's
Yeah.
like a fun thing we're doing on the side, you know. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and I really love art.
Yeah.
I think probably nearly every creative has a little bone in them about art. But for me, fashion shows and art is just like a little married couple.
Yes.
You know, so it's whether it's the venue or whether it's artists showcasing at a show. I just think that whole collaboration is a real crux for me.
Yeah.
And I found that in the local area has really been quite eye-opening. Like there's so many amazing artists, and because you're all introverts, you never hear about them. And it's only through,
Thank God for Instagram.
like through Nick, then I've just met like Lily and you know all of these other artists that you just never know about.
No.
And yeah, just the different, I think the different avenues and things that they can showcase and bring to the table and put together, and then use all your creative powers all together. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's perfect, and I think we all did come back to supporting like our people
our local
that make
artists.
things.
That's right.
Because we're helping them, and it felt good to be purchasing something really local.
From the local, absolutely. I felt a lot of local love during COVID. Like a lot of, during my last 2 releases, I'd say probably 60% of the customers were local, which was really cool because they come and pick them up, I get to meet them, and it's just making another connection that I otherwise wouldn't have made because I don't really go out a lot. So, you know, it's making those connections, and whether you talk to them again or not, it's like, you've met someone, they generally like tend to follow me on Instagram, so they are seeing a little piece of my life, and there are those connections later on. It's nice.